And Republican candidates for U.S. presidential a candidate for the U.S. presidential race, Donald Trump, will receive his party's official 2024 nomination for presidency during the four-day Republican National Convention beginning on Monday. The convention will feature televised speeches by rising Republican stars and Trump's choice for a yet-to-be-announced vice presidential running mate, while highlighting the party's stance on topics such as abortion, immigration and the economy. We now quickly tell you what is expected to take place at the Republican National Convention. Okay, what will take place at this convention is that the party delegates from all states and U.S. territories will attend this convention. The delegates will select nominees for president and vice president. Donald Trump is expected to announce his running mate by Monday. Trump to formally accept nomination with speech on Thursday. Milwaukee is the largest city in Wisconsin, making it the choice of location for the convention. The event is an opportunity for the party to get lots of publicity and rally supporters. Republican Party's platform will be approved on the first day of the National Convention. The 16-page party platform is a formal statement of policy positions. It also includes Trump's position that individual U.S. states will decide on the issue of abortion. The platform pledges that Trump and Republicans will build a missile defense shield over the United States. The platform also pledges to carry out the largest deportation in American history. The RNC has announced themes for all 4 days. Monday will focus on how Trump would turn the page on Biden's economic agenda. Tuesday will outline Trump policies to target crime and support law enforcement. Wednesday will feature plans to stem immigration at the southern border with Mexico. Thursday will center on Trump's overall strategy for strengthening the country. And to talk more about that, I'm joined by Professor Swaran Singh, foreign affairs expert, teaches at the Jawaharlal Nehru University in the national capital. Thank you, Professor Singh, for joining me on the show. Unified calls for unity. Biden says time to cool it down. Violence has no place. Violence and hate has no place in their politics. Lower temperatures. We are not enemies. When the society is so divided there, so polarized there, how would these calls from both sides now that such an incident has taken place, almost a brush with death for Donald Trump, a close brush with death for Donald Trump here, what effect could it have?
Amrit, as you are noticing already, there is a change in the language of electioneering, of advertisements from both the parties. So definitely in the short run, I think there is going to be enormous restraint on both sides. But equally interesting is the spate of support that we are noticing from business tycoons, from political spectrums. In fact, the language of President Biden is completely different now. So already uncontested presumed candidate of Republican Party becomes even more stronger in that sense. Already he is showing enormous lead, not just within the Republican Party, but even on President Joe Biden. So the challenges for Joe Biden campaign team are going to be much more now. But it makes it little more reinforcement of what is already known, that it is likely that Donald Trump would be coming back to the White House in that sense. But what is something which will go beyond his presidency is that symbolic fist that he showed in terms of showing strength of a politician in times of crisis. And that, I think, is going to become a kind of a symbolic photograph. Already around the world, that picture has gone in the media. I was reading that there are even those pictures being printed on T-shirts in China, expecting them to be exported to, future party rallies in the United States. So enormous strengthening of the credentials of Donald Trump, and of course symbolism of his response to that tragic situation. He is going to go beyond his presidency. I heard initially you mentioning that this is not the first time, and this is not only in United States that such incidents happen, which I think is also something that globally the narrative of electioneering is something that needs to address over years. Partly thanks to infusion of enormous technology, especially social media, the anxiety and pressure of these articulations in electioneering have become increasingly personal and increasingly harsh, sometimes crossing deadlines. And that kind of overall global shift in the narrative is something that needs to worry, I suppose, all political elites around the world. And in that sense, United States being perhaps, let me say, the most visible kind of country in terms of whatever happens in that country, should then perhaps trigger some kind of rethinking around the world. I hope that the impact of calls for unity and sobriety
Okay.
would stay beyond few weeks.
Well, one should expect that. That's the reasonable thing to expect. But Professor Singh, when you raise the temperature so much by both sides, would it have a calming effect? Go to the social media, see there is, within minutes of that attack, it's so polar, the society is so polarized. Half of them were saying, well, it's a staged thing and that, still persists. The others saying, look, they came out to kill us. So when the society is so divided, when the line runs right down the middle, do you think it'll cool down anytime soon?
I agree with you on this, Amrit, and it's not just irresponsible wolf warriors on social media. The article that came on in New York Times, I think, is also something that has come to notice. I hear that Elon Musk has, on his X, criticized the nature of that article. And so many other people are also. So not just the divide is impacting the uncontrolled, unregulated, individuals, even institutions over a period of time, trying to placate that sentiment which they notice is becoming popular in society. Even responsible media houses have sometimes, shown that vulnerability of towing that line or speaking the same language in that sense. As I said, I hope that this sobriety and call for unity will go beyond few weeks. But I also agree with you in the sense of the deeper divide in society that has happened over a period of time, the deeper anxiety that generations, which are called Z generations or even millennials, have undergone. That is a societical kind of challenge. The fabric itself is under kind of enormous stress in that sense. How people behave, how people, express themselves. That kind of transformation of or deterioration, rather, of public articulations is a deeper question, and that is why I say I hope this sobriety stays beyond weeks, because I understand that kind of polarization which is happening around the world is much deeper, and this could come back again and then start going back to the same way of talking to each other or addressing each other, and that I think is something we have to be
is a real threat. Okay. One last thing, Professor Swaran Singh. Divisions exist in all society. We went through elections here in India. We saw, raised political rhetoric here, attacks, counter-attacks, some factual, some semi-factual, some completely baseless, etc. And their political violence does take place, but not this sort of a violence where you attack, the principal leader or try to shoot him down or kill him. Is what's happening in the US symptomatic of the scourge that the society faces, or the malaise that the society faces, that guns are easily available here? Here, if I don't like a leader, I may not like him, and in the confines of my home or talking amongst my friends, I may tell them that he's a scum or she's a scum, and I don't like his or her policies. But I don't get a gun so easily here, but there you do.
That's right. And that is something which has made many people worry about the future of United States. The kind of gun culture and gun violence and easy access to all kinds of guns of more sophisticated kind is very unusual in United States. Just next door neighbor, Canada doesn't have that. In fact, none of the other countries have that kind of free access and use of weapons by citizens. It is usually explained in terms of their freedom movement being the one where people were supposed to arm themselves. But that's a long gone story, and today we live in a very different world. And I think if United States has any major challenge to deal with, it is this gun violence, which is making many people really worried about the nature of American society and what is going to happen to that. And this is a reflection of several of those things, but also partly how institutions respond to that. I mean, questions will also be asked on, FBI, on security, secret services, etc., whether they could have acted better in a situation like this. Now, what I read is explanation that the assassin was beyond the periphery of the security sort of cleansing that was done.
But that doesn't count for anything. He had a straight line, a line of sight, and 150 yards away.
And in fact, a lot of questions on the person who's being called as assassin at this stage. So I assume we will have to also wait for the total investigation report to come, because all kinds of speculations and insinuations are being made right now, which are confusing a lot of things at this stage. But hopefully, I think the immediate message is one of sobriety and unity. And hopefully, I hope no such other incidents take place in coming weeks or months until elections happen.
Yeah, let's hope for that, and let's hope they settle at the ballot box rather than through the bullet. Professor Suvarn Singh, thank you very much for joining us and lending us your perspective.